Now it's you can see, right?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, stop.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here with another video. Back with another video. Haven't been here in a while. Been doing some, living life, trying to up the ante as far as production goes. But we're back here with uh, with another topic, a topic that everybody is talking about, and that is Puff Daddy, P Diddy, Sean Combs, Brother Love, that Brother Love, boy himself, in trouble with the law. As many people know, on September 17th, 2024, P. Diddy was arrested at his home and brought in for federal charges. And at his home, they found thousands upon thousands of bottles of baby oil. The baby oil was allegedly used for his freak offs. Now, what are his freak offs? His freak offs were wild sex parties with prostitutes, male and female, or sex workers, male and female. And he's brought up on these sex trafficking charges. Let's see here. It was 1,000 bottles of baby oil that Diddy had, and he is being denied bail for his charges. He tried several times putting up his mother's house as collateral, putting up several properties that he owns as collateral. But the judge, Judge Robin Taranovsky, was like, no, we're not doing that, Diddy. You're going to sit out for the remainder of your time. You're not going out on bail until you face trial. So, when did this all begin? This all began about late last year in 2023. In my estimation, Diddy's problems started not when Casey sued him, in the civil suit, right, for sexual harassment. I mean, sexual misconduct and sexual abuse. It didn't really begin there. The genie started being let out of the bottle when it came to Diddy, when Keefe D was arrested on the conspiracy, the Tupac conspiracy that we talked about, the conspiracy with regards to Tupac committing, committing Tupac's murder back in 1996. Allegedly, P. Diddy and his camp, Bad Boy, paid the Southside Crips, which was what the gang that Keefe D was affiliated with, and a gang that when Biggie and Diddy would go out to the West Coast, they would have, the protection of that group to do this to Tupac. So Tupac, at the Tyson fight, many people know Tyson Bruce Seldon in '96, September of '96, got into the fight with Orlando Anderson, who was Keefe D's family member. But Keefe D had already received the $1 million from Diddy and Biggie's camp to do that. So they had two problems with Pac, right? And then they went off and they shot Tupac, and Tupac passed away. Now, according to Keefe D, they never received the $1 million from Diddy's camp, and after the after the incident was over, Diddy called him up and was like, "Hey, was that one of ours?" Because the liaison that Diddy paid, this guy named Zip, who was a relative to Biggie, also a member of the Crips, um, never gave the $1 million to Keefe D. So there was always speculation, according to Reggie Wright, who was the head of security at Death Row Records, the record company that Tupac was affiliated with at the time, that Keefe D's camp had something to do with Biggie's murder a couple months later in March of '97, because they never received the $1 million that they were supposed to receive from Diddy. But then he switched it later on and he said, nah, it was Poochie, it's a guy from the Mob Piru Bloods, rivals of the Southside Crips in Compton, and they were the ones that were involved with Biggie's murder. So it's a whole kit and caboodle. Russell Poole, Detective Russell Poole, died trying to figure the case of these two prolific rappers out. But going back to the original story, that's when I believe Diddy's problem started. Because he was on the minds of people after that, after Keefe D's arrest last year. And then Casey comes out with her civil lawsuit, suing for several $1 millions, talking about she was allegedly abused by Diddy. She was used as a prostitute basically for Diddy, that Diddy would hire male sex workers to have sex, and he would watch them, and he would jerk off to them, having sex with Casey. And uh, she tried to sue Diddy. She came at Diddy with a civil lawsuit, not a criminal lawsuit against them. And then that's when they started talking about this. And then months later, a video surfaced of P. Diddy in a hotel room in a towel, slapping the shit out of her, beating her up. And everybody was like, "Oh shit, it's over for the diddler." And then other allegations started coming out. Men started coming out saying that they were abused by P. Diddy. Uh, one of his, you know, one of his bodyguards, Gene Deal, talked about how he would go to, that was his bodyguard in the 1990s, would go to gay bathhouses and have sex with men. A whole bunch of stuff. And then he developed the nickname the Diddler. And then we started looking back at old videos with interactions that he would have uh, with the likes of Justin Bieber and the likes of Usher. Strange interactions, and looking into his lyrics, especially "I Need a Girl," right? And where he would say, uh, "Hey Lisa, what's going on?" He would say, "All night we would play fight undercovers. You was more than my girl. We was like brothers." That's cool, Lisa. We was like brothers. We wasn't like brothers and sisters. We was like brothers. Okay? Highly suspect. Now, and then looking at the Breakfast Club interview from a couple of years back, where Diddy, okay, okay, at least I'm sorry, where Diddy uh, had a Breakfast Club interview with Fabulous was the, I mean not Breakfast Club, Drink Champs, right? Drink Champs, Nori's podcast. He would he was on there with Jada Kiss and Nori, of course the host, Jada Kiss, Nori, and Fabulous, and he was saying some weird shit, talking about, "Oh, I love it when you're at my parties, daddy," or some crazy shit, right? And then 50 Cent tells a story where when 50 Cent was first becoming, real popular in the rap game, like 2002, 2000, early 2003, for example. Diddy told him he wanted to take him shopping. Like, yo, I want to take you shopping, he said. Now, what grown heterosexual, presumably man, wants to take another man shopping? Like I said, the interaction with Justin Bieber, where Diddy was like, why don't you call me no more? Why don't we hang out? Now, okay, you're a grown man, and Justin Bieber at this time was like 11, 12, and you want to hang out with this young boy? Highly suspect on your part, Diddy. So, finally, with all this evidence, right, Lisa's saying that Justin Bieber's face said that he was looked like he was frightened of Diddy. You know what I mean? Because now, with all this evidence now, the case, he got a lot of evidence against him: murder, racketeering, sexual trafficking. They haven't brought up the murder thing with Tupac, implications with that, but they probably will. That will play a role in this eventually. You know what I mean? Because to me, like I said, that's what started this whole Diddy talk. You know, and it's just like physical abuse. We brought that up, Lisa, beating up KC. Um, and let's bring this up: the mysterious death of Diddy's ex-girlfriend Kim Porter, that she mysteriously died. We don't know how. Oh, her name is Cassie or Casey. I thought it was pronounced Casey. Okay, Cassie. Anyway, but Kim Porter, we don't know how she died, but allegedly she was going to release a tell-all book about Diddy. Diddy has so many secrets on him, so much dirt on him. He is a mysterious person. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the origins of Diddy, where he comes from, his background. Diddy grew up in Harlem. Well, he grew up in Mount Vernon, but he was born in Harlem, right? And his father was an associate of Frank Lucas, and his father was also an associate of Nicky Barnes. Now, uh, many people that don't know who Nicky Barnes is, Nicky Barnes and or Frank Lucas is. Frank Lucas was the subject of the Ridley Scott film 2006, starring Denzel Washington, American Gangster. Basically, the individual who wrested the heroin trade away from the Italian mafia um, into his own hands by going directly to the source, traveling to Vietnam during the war, and when inventing what he and utilizing what he called the Golden Triangle. He bypassed the mob because before, heroin would go from like the Asian or the Middle Eastern countries through Italy up through Corsica, which is a French island in the Mediterranean, to uh, to Malta, right? That's why they had the French connection up to the Italian mafia in the United States, and they um, monopolized the trade in heroin that they would give out to, black and especially black and Latino even residents in Harlem. But Frank Lucas said, "Fuck all that." He was a protege. Frank Lucas was of Bumpy Johnson, the subject of Godfather of Harlem, and he monopolized the drug trade in Harlem in the '70s by going directly to Southeast Asia. um, So Diddy was a part of that. Diddy's father was a part of that, but Diddy's father snitched on that organization. You know what I mean? So he basically went into hiding. But the point is that and Nicky Barnes was another guy. Nicky Barnes also a drug baron in the 1970s in New York. He was called Mr. Untouchable. They tried for years to get him. They tried for years to lock him up, and it wasn't until Mayor Giuliani, who was then the New York State Attorney General, got on him, and he was locked up in jail. This was the era of the drug kingpins, the pre Alpo and pre Supreme era of the drug kingpins in the 70s, heroin kingpins. Um, so Diddy's pops was charged that, but Diddy's pops snitched. So Diddy already had that connection before he started in music. Many people know he started as an A&R and under Andre Harrell and Uptown Records, and that's when he was working with he discovered the likes of Mary J. Blige, Heavy D, Jodeci, and basically you know changed the way R&B was produced because R&B before that never really engaged with hip hop, but through Diddy, through Diddy's production with Andre Harrell and Uptown Records, they started to do that. Right, R&B started to change and change forever, and then he discovered the Notorious B.I.G. in the mid '90s. They had that City College event where several kids got killed, and Diddy got blamed for that. And then they left Uptown Records. First, he discovered Craig Mack, that was his first artist, and then he discovered Biggie after that, and they went to Bad Boy. And they founded Bad Boy, and they were off to the races there. They produced Flavor in Your Ear, and then they produced Ready to Die album in 1994. Then they brought the East Coast back because the East Coast was suffering due to the attention that the West Coast was receiving after Dr. Dre left Ruthless Records, founded Death Row Records with the help of Suge Knight in 1992, and the West Coast had it on lock. Snoop came out with Doggy Style in '93. It was just a West Coast party in the early '90s. The East Coast couldn't do anything, even with Nas, even with Brand Nubian. Okay, Lisa is telling me something more about Diddy's father. Since at age 33, Diddy's dad was shot to death while in his car in Central Park West when Diddy was 2 years old. She says he don't know where he got his gangster bad boy image from. Probably that. Yes, like I was saying, I forgot to mention, thank you, Lisa, Diddy's pops was a snitch and he got killed by those people that he was involved with. But anyway, um, the West Coast had it on lock and nobody was doing anything. And then Diddy came out with Bad Boy in 1994. And, with Biggie as his first artist, the first artist that produced an album because Craig Mack was his first artist. And Craig Mack didn't have no album. The way Diddy did the promotion was like a Big Mac, like Big Mac hamburger McDonald's has. He had Big on one side, Mac on the other side. You know what I mean? With both their CDs in there. And they did the City College event, and Bad Boy was, cooking with gas, man. It became the largest East Coast producer of music, bringing back New York hip hop because, like I said, Nas was out, Brand Nubian was out, all these other rap groups. Wu-Tang Clan came out in '93, but they weren't selling no records. So Diddy brought commercialism to hip hop on the East Coast. And then, of course, in 1995, the beef with Death Row starts, where Suge Knight gets on the mic in the Source Awards and he says, if you don't want the executive producer dancing all in the songs, trying to be up all on the records, come to death row, and then that was Madison Square Garden. The Dog Pound gets booed off stage. The Dog Pound makes a video in New York where they crush the Twin Towers. Their set gets shot up by people in New York. That they didn't like Snoop and them coming to New York doing that. Disrespecting New York like that. That was like in '95, 2 years after the World Trade Center, first World Trade Center bomb, and then '93. Like, how you gonna disrespect our city? Well, of course, the Dog Pound was mad because they got booed off stage at Madison Square Garden. So it's a whole beef that starts to develop between them. Then Tupac gets shot outside Quad Studios, where the Junior Mafia is recording, uh, an album, and Pac goes there to visit them, and he gets shot in the hallway. And then Tupac goes to jail for sexual misconduct, and he gets bailed out by Suge Knight, and then he joins Death Row Records, and then it's a full-on beef with Bad Boy and Death Row, and the East Coast and the West Coast. The media is hyping them up. You see Diddy and Biggie on the cover of Vibe magazine. You see Death Row Records on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. You know, interviews with Angie Martinez, Tupac interviews with Angie Martinez with Puff and Big. And then, Tupac gets murdered in '96. And Big out in the Soul Train Awards, even though they told him don't go, he gets murdered. But what happens to Diddy? Diddy's label, Bad Boy, thrives after Biggie's death. It doesn't die out. It's not like Death Row. It's the total opposite of what happened to Death Row. Death Row and the West Coast in general, after Tupac died, fell. Snoop went on his own. He signed with No Limit. Dre went on his own. He founded Aftermath. He went on his own. And everybody left Shook. Everybody left Death Row. But Diddy, that didn't happen. With Diddy, he came out with I'll Be Missing You, a sample of Sting's I'll Be Watching You, the song from the Police, right? And it became the hit of the summer in '97, the year that Biggie died. I remember it. It was everywhere. Like it was so crazy at camp when I was there that year that it was a sad song about his friend dying, but at the same time we danced to it. We loved it. 112 came out with their classic albums then. Lil Kim was on fire. All About the Benjamins. Diddy came out with his first album, P. Diddy and the Family, in '97, which Biggie wrote a lot of that. Victory, all that, right? Puffy was on top of the world at that time. He signed Mace not too long before that, and Mace was his new artist. And Mace had, his first album that came out that was a classic. Bad Boy Could Do No Wrong from 1996, from 1997 to at least the early part of 1998 before DMX came out. The Shining Suit era, they called it. They even had street artists, hardcore hip hop artists like the Locks coming out wearing shiny suits. That's how much Puff and Bad Boy had it on lock then. But then in 1990, I think it was, and he starts to go out with J-Lo, right? J-Lo, she does the movie Selena in '90. She was on In Living Color in the early '90s. She does the movie Selena. She blows up. She does her first album On the Six in 1999, and Diddy's helping her. He's producing a lot of her records, a lot of her hip hop records. And he's helping her to connect with a more hip hop audience. Right, so they start dating, and they were like this ASAP Rocky and Rihanna right now, Offset and Cardi, kind of like that. They were like the it couple in hip hop at that time in 1999 when they were going out. And this was before the world really knew how crazy J Lo was when it came to men. This was before Ben Affleck, before Chris Judd, before Mark Anthony, before, like, she had been engaged before that, but it was to somebody we didn't really know. Her first public relationship was with Diddy, right? So they're in this club with Shine, an artist who from Flatbush, Brooklyn, that Diddy had just signed. It sounded, my first time I ever heard him was on Mace's second album, the Double Up album, and I'm like, yo, he sounds exactly like Biggie. Like, I think they're trying to replace Biggie on Bad Boy and shit, right? So they're on top of the world at this time. He's in a club. Diddy has a gun in the club. Now there's a shooting in this club that Diddy's in. Now it goes to trial, and basically, long story short, Shine gets blamed for bringing bringing the gun into the club, even though it was Diddy's gun. And and J Lo gets on the stand. She starts crying. She says, "I don't want to go to jail," right? Because she was holding the gun for Diddy. She was doing some hood girl shit, you know, like you in the hood and your girl's, she's a ride or die chick. She's holding your piece for you, right? She was doing that type of shit. And but Diddy and her didn't face no charges. Shine took all the rap for it, and Shine ended up being in jail for years and years. Now, for Shine, he was up and coming. Like he had just started rapping. Okay, he this and the gun incident happened in 2000. He was in jail for 10 years, but he just started rapping. He had Bad Boys for he had that Bad Boys record, those two reggae records with Barrington Levy on this shit. He was about to blow up, but now here goes his career out the window. And at the same time, the empire of Bad Boy is starting to crumble. Mace, who was Diddy's number one artist after Biggie died, he decides to retire from rap out of nowhere. He just put an album out in '99, and he decides to retire from rap out of nowhere, and and and, and become a preacher. Move down to ATL and become a preacher. Okay. Then the Locks, they leave Bad Boy and they go to Rough Riders. Because Rough Riders at this time, 1999, 2000, they're starting to jump off. And they had some contract disputes with Diddy because basically what Diddy did to them was the same thing, and Lisa will know this, what Pebbles did to TLC. Diddy gave him a shitty contract where he took most of their royalties and he tried to rob them blind. You know what I mean? Don't forget that Diddy came up under that school of Clyde Davis. He came up under that school of L.A. Reid. Those kinds of people in the record industry, black or white. The white ones trained the black ones because the white ones were in it first. That take advantage of artists. So that's what Diddy did with the Locks. And that's basically what he did to Mace too. That's why Mace retired from rap. I'm not gonna say he didn't have a spiritual awakening, that he didn't give his life to the Lord or whatever, right? But he did it because it was a way for him to try to get out of his contract with Diddy. You know what I mean? His shitty contract he assigned with Diddy. You know what I'm saying? So he's out of the game. Shine is in jail. Black Rob, he had his money issues. Whoa was a huge record in 2000, right? When it first came out, and people thought, okay, that'll be the renaissance of Bad Boy. You know what I mean? But no, none of this, because Black Rob got into his own legal troubles. G. Depp, who did a murder years and years back, eventually he confesses to his murder and he gets locked up. And then they come out with I Need a Girl, and Loon is on that track. But again, with Loon, he decides that rap is not for him, and he goes to Saudi Arabia and he becomes an Orthodox Muslim. So a lot of people join different religions with Diddy because of I'm looking at it and I'm like, yo, the stuff he makes them do. Because even Shine was in jail, he starts studying Judaism and he becomes an Orthodox Jew in jail. You know what I mean? So all these people became like really religious under Diddy's watch. Even Craig Mack, he joined a cult, right? A cult, later on in his life. So Diddy has really bad luck with a lot of his artists after, his initial run. And, he starts to become more of a party promoter, basically. Less of a producer and more of a party promoter. And an advisor to certain artists. He gets a part of Ciroc, the vodka company. He gets a part. His Sean John clothing line is still jumping off, and that was another thing I forgot to mention. Besides Wu-Tang, he was one of the first artists, because I wouldn't count Russell Simmons as an artist because he's just in Def Jam, right? But as far as an artist, that he was one of the first to get into the fashion industry. Now we see it a lot with Rihanna. We see it a lot with a bunch of artists. Later on, Rockaware with Jay-Z. But rappers didn't really do that anymore. They took the brands of already established, fashion brands like Run DMC with Adidas, or like Karl Kani, or Tommy Hilfiger, or later Fubu, but they didn't have their own clothing lines until Diddy really made it pop. So Diddy becomes this huge megastar. Bad Boy is really no more necessarily, but he becomes this huge megastar. But all throughout that time, people were always questioning his sexuality. What was his sexuality? Because there are certain clues, and I brought this up to Lisa, that Diddy, the entire time that we've known him, and he's been in the public eye since the early '90s, was gay, or into trans women, right? Into trans women and possibly even straight up men, right? The One More Chance video, Biggie's song One More Chance. There, I think it's either One More Chance or Big Papa, one of Biggie's videos, right? It's One More Chance, I believe. Oh no, Big Papa. I was trying to remember the line. Anyway, but there's a line in the song where he's a part in the video where Busta Rhymes is talking to this person, and Biggie sneaks up behind her and steals her from Busta Rhymes, but the person is a trans woman. And later on in the video, 3 people are going in the bathroom. This same woman is going to the bathroom in a stand-up urinal. Now, anybody that knows anything about basic biology knows that women can't go to bathrooms in stand-up urinals. And they're pulling. Obviously, this was a trans person, and this same trans person appears in the video for "Flavor in Your Ear," in which LL rhymes the lyric "He, she, delicious," and you see this trans person dancing in the background. You know what I mean? So a lot of people now are looking back at some of this lyrics and some of this stuff and being like, this was all kind of suspect shit. Not just with Diddy, but with other people. But mainly we're talking about Diddy here. Mainly, he's the one accused of, because like they saying shit about Buster, but Buster wasn't accused of any illegalities, as we know. Just interested in trans women or men, trans women or cis gay men. Um, you know, there's nothing really. I mean, there's not. That's his personal preference, whatever. But once again, Wendy Williams was right. Wendy Williams, for years, when she was on Hot 97, one of the reasons, two reasons she got kicked off Hot 97. I just found out this reason like recently. I knew about the beef with her and Angie Martinez, where they had issues because Wendy had exposed Angie going out at that time with Q-Tip from a tribe called Quest, and Angie didn't like it, and they weren't really getting along. But the real reason why she got taken off Hot 97 and she was relocated down to a station in Philly was because of a Diddy issue. There was an incident with Diddy, and this was when he was. Yeah, Lisa, I just found this out. Uh, there was an incident with Diddy where somebody pulled down his towel, right, on a boat, and it was another guy. Like, he was seen doing sexual shit with another guy on a boat, right? And Wendy Williams talked about it. So the next day, Diddy calls up people at Hot 97. Was like, have her taken off the radio, or else y'all ain't playing none of my songs or any of my songs from my artist. Boom, she's off the radio. She's no longer in Hot 97. So once again, Wendy Williams, right about somebody. She was right about the abusive relationship with Trench and Pepper from Naughty by Nature and Salt and Pepper. She was right about Whitney Houston's drug abuse, which Whitney Houston denied. She was right about Diddy. She's probably right about Buster because she talked about Buster being a homo thug years ago, and shit is coming out now about Buster. You know what I mean? So, okay, Lisa says she's been known about. I never watched the Wendy Williams show, Lisa, so I had no idea that was the case. I knew about the Angie thing, but I didn't know about this. But it goes to show you how much clout. Lisa says, "Oh, I'm going over Diddy's whole career." Just to give people an example of how big Lisa Diddy was at the time in the East Coast. This man controlled the entire network of East Coast hip hop. Like, shit didn't happen in the East Coast in terms of hip hop if it wasn't passing through Diddy's desk. That's how powerful he was in the East Coast. He was to the East Coast, but Dr. Dre's to the West Coast, but Birdman was to the South. Consequently enough, all three men are kind of suspect in both their lyric, well, not yeah, in their lyrics and in the way that they conduct themselves. So yeah, I'm sorry I talked about his whole career, but now we're just talking. Let's just talk to where it leads up to right now about this indictment, these charges that are being brought up. I'm gonna read you guys what are these charges. racketeering and drug charges, sex trafficking, and prostitution. Since Combs was indicted on three felony charges: racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engaging in prostitution. In addition to those charges and put faith in the indictment, the prosecution also alleged that Combs partook in kidnap, forced labor, bribery, and other crimes. So there you go. Basically, a RICO case. Basically, what YSL and that group that Young Thug is involved with is going through in Atlanta, Diddy will be going through in New York. We talked about the RICO cases, racketeering in a Corrupt Organization Act, enacted in the 1970s to deal with the Costa Nostra, but has now been turned on rap labels now. They're using it to take down all the independent, black-owned rap labels. They're framing them as criminal organizations, as organized crime. But they're not doing that to any of the white labels that also may engage in organized crime. As fucked up as I think, and I believe, and I know that Diddy is, people like Clive Davis, other people, white record owners, like they're even worse. Like they're 10 times worse. But they feel like it's better to go for the little guy. It's better to go for the black owned label. And I'm not letting Diddy off the hook, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Using the power of the federal government to attack black organizations and bringing up these charges, whether false, whether true, false, or indifferent, is no different, in my opinion, than what they did with COINTELPRO. With black political organizations in the 1960s. You know, like I said, Diddy shouldn't be let off the hook. But to take down the entire organization, to take down all of Bad Boy, and to frame Bad Boy as a front organization for criminal activity, that's fucked up. You know what I mean? That's wrong, that part. You know what I mean? And if they were doing it to everybody, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But they're not doing it. They didn't bring a RICO case to Vince McMahon in the WWE, right? They didn't say that the WWE was a criminal organization, a front for Vince McMahon's nefarious activities, the things that he did with Janelle Grant and others in the Ring Boys. They didn't do that with him. They didn't do that with Harvey Weinstein's movie company, bring down Harvey Weinstein's movie company. They arrested Harvey Weinstein. They took Harvey Weinstein as an individual, but Harvey Weinstein movie company is still there. You understand what I'm saying? So the use of the RICO law, the use of this Harvey Weinstein was in charge of the movie company too, Lise. Lisa is saying, but okay, yes, he was in charge of the music of Bad Boy Records, right? And Harvey Weinstein was in charge of the movie company he was in charge of. But they didn't bring a RICO case against Weinstein. No, they just brought a regular individual case against Weinstein. Bringing a RICO case against Diddy, if they do go to that level, is to target Diddy's organization, to tarnish Diddy's work and to tarnish Diddy's legacy. I'm not saying that they're doing it because he's black. What I'm saying is that when they come after these black organizations, Lisa, they target the entire organization. They try to bring everybody down, right? Treyway is another example. The organization that the record company that 6ix9ine snitched on. Right now, they were gang affiliated, they were affiliated with Nine Trey, you know what I mean? Whatever. Maybe they deserve to get that. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to hip hop, right, they bring down the whole organization. They don't just bring down the individual. Okay, Lisa's saying there were people in Bad Boy that knew. Okay, yes, I don't deny that. I'm not saying that's not the case. What I'm saying is there are people in WWE that knew what Vince was doing, right? And they didn't do anything about it, but they're not trying to bring WWE down. They accepted that they're under new ownership. You know, they're owned by Area Manual, Endeavor, TKO, and they're just leaving the organization alone to do what the organization does. And then just bringing Vince on charges, right? Trump, his industries, they're getting Trump on. Okay, yes, I know that, Lisa. Lisa says RICO charges can apply to a wide range of illegal activities, including fraud. Okay, Lisa, I will. Okay. So they're bringing Diddy down, they're bringing the organization down. So, Lisa, do you think that the organization Bad Boy deserves to be brought down? In your belief, you believe? I think to me, I can't take away what Diddy did. To me, I can't. I cannot deny that Diddy had a tremendous contribution to hip hop. And it was because of him that so many people got into hip hop, that his music was classic. He introduced us to Biggie. We would have never known Biggie if it was not for Diddy, right? He gave us Lil Kim. He gave us The Lox. He gave us all these artists that we would have never known anything about if it wasn't for him. You can't take Lisa says if I go down, the whole organization goes down with me. Okay, yeah. So Lisa's saying a race, bad boy, bad boy is known. Right? Maybe so, but even if you wipe the organization off the map and you bring them in with RICO charges, that doesn't take away the fact for what they did for hip hop. They did a tremendous thing for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? They revolutionized the game when it came to hip hop. You know what I mean? So many classics. It's tough to say, man. Can you separate the artist? Lisa says, and that's true. Lisa brought up a point that I forgot to mention. Lisa says, before Biggie got murdered, I remember people saying that he wanted to get off Bad Boy. If you're so loved by Puffy, why would you want to get off Bad Boy? Yeah, I heard that too, Lisa. I mean, because look, Gene Deal, he said in his interviews, the bodyguard, he says that Biggie never trusted Puffy. You know what I mean? They came from two different worlds. Biggie came from the streets. You know what I mean? He always had one eye open, and he never really trusted Puffy. You know what I mean? They're portrayed as they were like brothers and everything. That Biggie Puff gave Big his start, but at the same time, he never really trusted him at all. and he did want to get off Bad Boy. I think if Biggie had lived, he'd have probably been on Rockefeller with Jay-Z because him and Jay-Z were getting real close as in the latter half of Biggie's life, or started his own label, perhaps. You know what I mean? But I couldn't see him lasting with Bad Boy all that long. So Lisa's 100% right. But notwithstanding, he had a great contribution in music. Puffy did, P. Diddy did, and you can't take that away from him. Just like R. Kelly, they're fucked up people. You know what I mean? And they deserve to be in jail, but they contributed to their art form to such a degree and made these classics that you can't erase these classics from the history books. Will I still listen to Puffy? No, probably not. You know what I mean? Like maybe a song or two, maybe I'll Be Missing You. I never, besides I'll Be Missing You and maybe Victory, those are really the only P. Diddy songs I really cared about, to be honest with you. I Need a Girl was I Need a Girl Part 2 with Genuine was but that's pretty much about it. I like songs more from Biggie and Mace. If Biggie and Mace was on the song, then yeah, I like the song better than it was just Diddy alone. Like Bad Boy for Life. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. I don't really like that one, or that much. So yeah, this is the end of the diddler, man. Jaguar Wright and Wendy Williams were justified in saying what they said. And he'll be serving time in jail. He better get more baby oil from commissary because they'll be oiling his ass up in federal prison, especially the shit he's accused of. People go to jail for these sex crimes. They better really watch out, man, because this is not something that the prison population takes lightly. They might be criminals too. They might be in there for doing some foul shit, but anything against children, anything against women, anything against innocent people, that they don't take kindly to, and there's retribution and hell to be paid among the prison population. So you're gonna have to get and snitching. You're gonna have to get PC'd up. You're gonna have to be put in protective custody. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, you're a target on the yard. This is why they tried to fuck with Tupac a lot in Rikers when he was in upstate when he was up here. There are rumors about Pac's time in prison in New York because he came in there on rape charges. You know what I'm saying? Watch, and it happened to the Central Park Five. Watch the documentary When They See Us. This is not the kind of thing. R. Kelly right now is in protective custody. Tekashi was in protective custody when he was locked up. You know what I mean? So Bill Cosby was. So sex crimes, that's a no-no. They go on a crime for shooting somebody, killing somebody, that's different. Drug dealing, that's different. They get a different level of respect behind the wall than they would, for the things that they're accused of. Anyway, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The diddler is accused of some heavy shit. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you, Lisa, for contributing. Love you guys. Peace.